Welcome back to NFL Nexus, the place where we break down the game behind the game. Today, we are going to dive deep into the Los Angeles Rams because it looks like they have a secret plan, a meticulously calculated strategy to launch themselves right back into a Super Bowl run. Let's get into it. So what exactly is this secret blueprint? I mean, how are the Rams, a team that always seems to be retooling on the fly, positioning themselves for another real shot at the Lombardi Trophy? Well, it's not about one single magic signing or some blockbuster trade. Nope, it's actually a really carefully constructed two-part strategy. First, they're creating the absolute perfect conditions to turn their young, high-potential players into legit superstars. And second, for the first time in what feels like forever, they are aggressively going after their most obvious weakness. Today, we're breaking down every single piece of this fascinating plan. Okay, so let's really get into this. The plan is kind of beautiful in how simple it is. The first prong is all about an internal focus, taking the explosive young talent they already have on the roster, we're talking guys who are right on the edge of stardom, and creating the perfect environment for them to just erupt. Then, the second prong is an external fix, tackling a problem that has honestly plagued this franchise for the entire Les Snead era by completely changing how they go out and get new talent. It's all about maximizing what you have while finally fixing what you don't. And it's pretty brilliant. So let's kick things off with part one, unleashing the young guns already in the building. Now, the Rams' 2024 draft class was impressive, yeah, but right now we're focusing on three players who are absolutely primed for a breakout season. We're talking about a defensive lineman who could become a true sack artist, a wide receiver who is like the perfect Swiss Army knife for this offense, and a running back with a style that's, well, it's totally unique. These are not just going to be role players. These are guys who could become household names by the end of this year, and the Rams are engineering the exact circumstances to make that happen. First up, defensive end Braden Fisk, who, as you probably remember, the Rams famously traded up to grab in the second round of the 2024 draft. If you watched the Rams last season, you saw the flashes, right? That explosive first step, that motor that just never, ever stops. But with so much of the spotlight on star rookies like Jared Verse and Kobe Turner, Fisk's plays sometimes got a little lost in the shuffle. He was good, but the scheme wasn't always set up to let him be truly great. Well, you know what? That is about to change in a big, big way. Now check this out. This is where it gets really interesting, because you have to look at the level of confidence coming from people who watch this team day in and day out. That's not some mild prediction. Brock Vieira is saying Fisk has the potential to lead the entire NFL in sacks. That is an all-pro defensive player of the year kind of ceiling we're talking about. So the big question is, what makes someone that confident? What's the proof that this kind of massive leap is even possible? In this slide right here, this is the how. It's a perfect storm of opportunity that's being created by the front office and the coaches. It all starts on the back end, with new guys in the secondary. Players like Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson are total game changers. Their ability to lock down receivers means the quarterback has to hold on to the ball just a little bit longer. And for a pass rusher like Fisk, a fraction of a second is an eternity. This better secondary lets defensive coordinator Chris Shula live in his favorite dime looks, which means taking a linebacker off the field and putting another defensive back on. That gets more speed out there, creates more obvious passing downs, and it means more snaps and more chances for Fisk to just pin his ears back and go. Second, the timing of the rush itself is going to be better. Think of a pass rush like a symphony. Last year, the instruments were a little out of sync. But now, with a full year together, Fisk, Verse, and Young can coordinate their attacks, running complex stunts designed to totally confuse offensive lines. And finally, all this unleashes the full playbook. Shula had to be conservative sometimes last year because he just didn't have the horses. Now he does. It all fits together, and it's all pointing to a monster season for Braden Fisk. All right, let's flip over to the other side of the ball and see how this thing keeps building. Our second breakout candidate is wide receiver Jordan Whittington. Now, Whittington is a really fascinating player. He came from a Texas offense that was just absolutely stacked with stars, so it was pretty easy for him to get overlooked. But the Rams, they saw something special, and he's been called the steal of the 2023 draft for a pretty good reason. This year, he's set to become a truly indispensable piece of Sean McVay's offense. So what makes this guy a steal? Well, it's his whole skill set. It's multifaceted, and it fits into Sean McVay's system like a glove. First off, he is a phenomenal physical blocker. In an offense that uses so much play action from tight formations, having a receiver who can basically act like a tight end and seal the edge on a linebacker, that's a massive advantage. Second, his versatility is just off the charts. McVay loves players he can move around like chess pieces, right? And Whittington can line up in the slot, out wide, even in the backfield.
That kind of flexibility creates mismatches and just keeps defenses guessing. And third, and this might be the most important part, the guy has incredibly reliable hands. He is that gritty, dependable, move the chains kind of weapon that every great offense needs. You know, the guy you look for on 3rd and 6 who just finds a way to get open and does not drop the ball.
And now for our final breakout player, a name that all you college football fans know very, very well, running back Blake Corum. I mean, the man was an absolute legend in college, a touchdown machine. Last season, the Rams gave him a little taste of the NFL, and we saw that same electricity, that same shiftiness that made him a star. Look, he's got some areas to grow, for sure, especially in pass protection, but as a pure runner, he brings a completely different dimension to this backfield.
And here we go again. Just look at this massive prediction. 2 1,000-yard running backs. That is incredibly rare in today's NFL. It speaks to the potential of this thunder and lightning duo with Corum and the already established Kyren Williams. But it also speaks to the unique style that Corum brings to the table. See, he isn't just another guy to give Williams a breather. He's a stylistic counterpoint, a totally different kind of weapon that forces defenses to prepare for 2 completely different types of run attacks.
Let's break this down because it's so key to understanding the impact he could have. Corum's style, you hear it all the time, gets compared to Le'Veon Bell in his prime. A traditional north-south runner, they get the handoff and they just hit the designed hole right away, trying to power through. Corum is different. He dances. He has this incredible vision and patience to just kind of hesitate behind the line of scrimmage, letting his blocks develop in front of him. He isn't just running to where the hole is supposed to be, he's anticipating where the hole is going to be. And this patient style, it does something to a defense psychologically. It makes linebackers and linemen over-pursue. They get impatient, they jump into the wrong gap, and that's the exact moment Corum strikes. He hits the space they just left open, makes one cut, and boom, he's gone. It is a deadly, methodical style that can turn what should be a 2-yard gain into a 60-yard touchdown. Okay, so that's prong 1, supercharging the offense and the defensive line with young, dynamic talent. And look, that alone would be a great off-season plan, but that's only half the story. To truly be a Super Bowl contender, you can't have a fatal flaw. And for years and years, the Rams have had one. So what are they finally doing about their oldest, most glaring weakness? And this brings us to part 2 of the master plan, finally solving the linebacker problem. And we're not just talking about signing some free agent or using a late-round pick on a whim. No, this is about a fundamental philosophical shift in the front office, a change in the team-building DNA that Rams fans have been screaming for over a decade. What's really wild here is this number, 9. Just let that sink in for a second. In the 12 seasons since Les Snead took over as the general manager back in 2012, the Rams have drafted a grand total of 9 linebackers. 9! That's less than 1 per year on average. And this isn't some accident or a statistical fluke, it's a core philosophy. They've intentionally devalued the position, choosing to pour their premium draft picks into the defensive line, the secondary, and offensive skill players. And the results at linebacker, well, they speak for themselves. It has been a constant, nagging weakness for over a decade. And this chart just perfectly illustrates how deep that philosophy goes. Of those 9 linebackers they've drafted, 7 of them were taken in rounds 4 through 7. We're talking day 3 picks, lottery tickets. Only twice in over a decade with Alec Ogletree and Ernest Jones have they used a premium day 2 pick on a linebacker. They have basically treated the heart of their defense like an afterthought, hoping to find diamonds in the rough while spending their gold everywhere else. Until now. So to really understand how big of a deal this change is, you have to first understand the old way of doing things, what we can call the Snead method. The Rams front office is a black box. They are famously, almost stubbornly, secretive. They don't parade prospects through their facility for those top 30 visits. They don't send their GM or head coach to high-profile workouts, and they almost never have formal meetings at the NFL Combine. Their entire strategy is built on stealth, on gathering intel quietly so nobody knows who they're really targeting. So knowing their history of secrecy and knowing how long they've just ignored the linebacker position, the evidence we're about to show you is kind of shocking. This isn't just a small tweak. It's a complete break from character that signals a whole new era in team building for the Los Angeles Rams. They're actively, and for them very openly, scouting the next wave of linebackers. And here it is, the hard evidence. For a team that avoids formal combine meetings like the plague, they met with Missouri linebacker Josiah Trotter. That alone is pretty noteworthy. But then, at Pitt's Pro Day, they held what was described as an extensive, pretty long meeting with linebacker Kyle Louie. And on top of that, reports came out that they also met with Cincinnati's Jake Goulday. Look, 1 meeting, maybe it's a coincidence. 2, that's hint. But 3, that's a pattern. This is the Rams doing their homework on day 2, draftable linebackers in a way we have just never seen from this regime. Now, the crucial point here isn't just that they're looking at linebackers. It's the type of linebacker they're targeting. Just look at the scouting report on Josiah Trotter, a violent attacking downhill LB prospect. They're not looking for some passive cover-style linebacker. They are looking for an enforcer, a player who can make an immediate impact against the run and as a blitzer. This is a direct shot at getting pushed around by physical running teams in their own division, like, the San Francisco 49ers. They're looking to inject aggression and straight-up violence into the middle of their defense, something they have been sorely missing. This isn't just plugging a hole, it's changing the entire attitude of their front seven. So let's bring it all together now and see how this actually builds a complete Super Bowl roster. When you take these two separate parts of the plan, the internal supercharging of young talent and the external philosophical shift to fix a major weakness, a very clear picture starts to emerge. This is a team meticulously building a complete, balanced, and frankly, a dangerous roster from every possible angle. And this is the two-step plan in its full glory. Step 1, supercharge the roster you already have. Create the perfect situation for guys like Fisk, Whittington, and Corum to become dominant players. This raises the team's ceiling to incredible heights. Step 2, plug the final leaking hole in the ship. Stop ignoring your biggest weakness and commit real premium assets to finally fix the linebacker position for the long haul. This raises the team's floor, making them way more consistent and resilient. And what do you get with a high ceiling and a high floor? You get the recipe for a championship. It's a complete strategy. It addresses both talent and weakness, both potential and consistency. They're not just crossing their fingers and hoping to get lucky. They are actively manufacturing the conditions for success. Which leaves us all with one final, big question. With this clear, two-pronged attack, are the Los Angeles Rams now the team to beat in the NFC?
I'd really love to know what you think. Is this plan enough to push them over the top? Drop a comment below and let me know. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown and you want more deep dives into the strategy of the NFL, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus so you don't miss a thing. And one last thing, if you're looking for a really cool way to support the channel, please check out our NFL-themed coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, or even for adults just looking for a fun way to relax. It's an awesome way to engage with the game we all love. You can find them using the link down in the description or by just scanning the QR code right there on your screen. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.